Good afternoon. Can you hear me well? Yes, I think so. Apologies if we are closing our eyes. The light is very strong, so we are doing our best to see you. So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Miriam Garcia. I'm from WRI Brazil. It's a pleasure to be here with you this afternoon, both here in Panama and for those joining us online. Welcome to this breakout discussion round. We will focus on capacity building and knowledge sharing, a topic that lies at the heart of effective climate action and inclusive implementation. I'm honored to serve as your facilitator for the next 45 minutes. Then you're going to continue in this room, and we facilitators, we're going to go change the room. I'm joined today by two colleagues from the UNFCCC Secretariat, one supporting note-taking and another managing the speaker list, to help ensure our discussion is both productive and well-documented. We're going to need you to speak on the mic so people online can hear us well. So the session is designed to be interactive and inclusive. We're going to hear interventions from both of you present here in Panama and of those online. And as we proceed, I encourage you to be concise and focused on your contributions. So to help guide our exchange, we have two questions for the capacity building session. So the first question is, how can capacity building initiatives support countries in identifying key challenges and opportunities in fostering context-specific, inclusive adaptation planning, implementation, and evaluation that effectively address local needs? It's a big question. And the second one, shorter, is how can capacity building initiatives facilitate minimizing the risk of maladaptation? So with these two questions, please feel free to answer one or both questions in your interventions. We're going to have 45 minutes, and I'm going to announce when when there is only 10 minutes left. So I invite you to raise. Let's begin by opening the speaker list and invite you to raise us so we could have the first intervention of the afternoon. And please present yourself while you're doing the intervention, as we can't see very well from here. Do we have a brave person to start? Do I see a hand? Princess? Ah, thank you. I think we're gonna give you the mic. It's coming. Just a second, it's the first session of the afternoon. We are trying to make everything. Oh, I think it works now. Yeah.
Oh.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. I didn't mean to break the ice, but as you invite me to do so, I will. First of all, thank you very much for taking the leadership on guiding us through for this breakout session. Really appreciate it. And we wanted to ask you to put on the question on the screen. So I think in terms of capacity building, in the questions, I see the word local and needs. So I think those two need to match. And it is important to let the countries learn by themselves with the sandbox, to find their own mistakes and try to figure out with guidance. If we want to have local ownership, to have rotas of experts, it's a must, learning by doing. As a co-chair of the Paris Committee on Capacity Building, the capacity building framework state that learning by doing, it's part of it. And often we, unfortunately, and with the goodwill of the partners, we tend to forget this part. And it's our duty as partners to gently remind that part of learning by doing, making sure that when we have adaptation projects, that we build on local initiatives. What I mean by local initiatives is, if I take the case of Burkina Faso and rural areas, you have ways that people can manage water and using traditional local knowledge. This also, it's in terms of cost effectiveness, this also can be part of the value chain of capacity building that we must consider. There is local science, there are science. Often the word low tech is used, technology is technology. The moment that is help you to solve a problem. When you do your PhD at university, it's about problem solving. But when we come to the to developing countries or least developing countries, the wordings immediately changed, which also tend to lower the knowledge of our people, and that lowering extend also to all the experts. I have Dr. Ama next to me, who are extremely knowledgeable from Ghana. But if you put her next to a Western expert who have the same knowledge, her payroll on daily basis won't be the same. And that's also, it's not a blame game here, just want to clarify that, but just to bring on the table what our needs are and where our concerns are. And it's our duty to also to express those to our partners, to take it into account, because we are not competing. We want to come together and find the right solutions as we also can contribute to move forward on the local, and using also the local academia. You have great universities in Africa. You have the Université Joseph Kizerbo, Thomas Sankara, Pretoria. You have the Technology University of Kumasi, who has a lot of knowledge and also have patents. I'd rather is an AI, you have patents owned by Africans, but we don't talk too much about that. And that is just to remind that we can pull all this in and the capacity building framework as we go for just transition. There is a lot in the basket. It's a matter of finding the mechanism where we can find each other with respect at the core for the knowledge. And from there we can make our way. I will stop there. So, Chair, thank you for just to break the ice, and I look forward to hear colleagues. So thank you so much for giving me the floor, Chair. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Burkina Faso. Thank you. Do we have any other speaker on? Maybe online? Online speakers? Oh, are there any online? No? Oh, I see a hand.
Thank you.
Introduce yourself. Thank you.
My name is Sinead from the Women and Gender Constituency. Just a really quick point on capacity building, and obviously all these means of implementation that we're talking about are linked. But one thing that we've been thinking about a lot when it comes to technology transfer and capacity building And speaking to a colleague from Senegal recently who talked about how these technologies that are coming to the south from the north also often come with people from the north to operate them. And so that we need to disrupt this cycle of extraction of resources by the north from the south to manufacture these technologies, selling them back to the south and using the south as a market for the technologies, but not having jobs coming with them. And there needs to be work with communities so that the people in the communities have the capacity to operate the technology themselves. Because often if you have technologies that are coming with experts or consultants from the global north, if you think about flow of resources, it's this constant flow of resources back into the north, or like raw materials and resources coming from the south, but the flow of wealth is continually back to the north. And so to interrupt those cycles of unequal exchange, north and south, the capacity building to go along with technologies is really important.
Thank you. Any other for the speaker lists? United Kingdom.
Thank you very much, Chair, and to all of us for this discussion today. I wanted to kind of pick up a few of the themes from some of this morning's discussions and bring them through to this context here. So firstly, just a kind of, I guess, a fairly obvious point is just emphasizing how important capacity building is as a component of supporting and enabling the implementation of just transitions. And this is relevant at the kind of various levels of government to implement, whether that's adaptation action in the context of this discussion today, where kind of just transition considerations need to be integrated in the way governments act, but also crucial, as many have noted, to kind of enable local communities, indigenous peoples, and other vulnerable groups to identify and prioritize their support needs, as my colleague was talking about just now, and ensuring that that is integrated within just transition frameworks to enable that capacity. One issue that has resurfaced in many discussions this morning and indeed last year as well was around skills and reskilling and skills needs, and capacity building and training can be so crucial there and is crucial in providing those opportunities to skill or upskill or reskill workers. And the UK, we have experience in providing support, including capacity building, whether that's through bilateral support and various multilateral organizations, really with the aim of integrating just transition considerations throughout this support, and that's across mitigation and adaptation. And I think maybe that's a core point to emphasize here, that there is more to be done to ensure that effective just transitions are integrated into work such as capacity building. So one example, just to briefly point to, where the UK is providing support, is the Small Island Developing States Capacity and Resilience Programme, SIDAR, which many here may be familiar with, where the UK has provided international climate finance, which aims to respond to the pressures on SIDS arising from climate change and the unique disadvantages created by small population sizes, remoteness, vulnerability to economic shocks and natural disasters. This programme focuses especially on sustainable and inclusive capacity, economic development and access to affordable finance to really impact that policy environment and the lives of people on the ground, building capacity. And yeah, one very quick final point, just in the context of this discussion here and the Just Transition Work Programme more generally, is to highlight the broader UNFCCC constituted bodies, whether that's the KCI or the Paris Committee on Capacity Building, as my colleague here mentioned, and the opportunities here to maximise the synergies across these processes, which is something we're very interested in. So I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I see Burkina Faso again? Oh, let me just send it to a person. That I'm sorry. I can read your. Can you present yourself? Sorry, the light is not allowing me to read.
Good afternoon. My name is Sheyda. I'm from Islamic Republic of Iran. Yes. As you know, capacity building initiatives play a crucial role in helping developing countries. And I want to share my views that these initiatives can support this process that I want to share. First, I think strengthening technical and analysis capacities like data collections and also scenario planning for adaptation issues. And second one is, I think, enhancing institutional framework in most of countries, which is necessary. I mean, for instance, policy integration and also coordination among local, national levels, institutions. And the next, I think, facilitating access to climate finance, because most of developing countries have some issues to improving their planning, their project, which needs to financial funds, for instance, for some projects, for proposals. And also, I think supporting technology and innovations. I mean, for instance, digital tools is one of them. And also, it could encourage South-South cooperation and also multi-cooperation in different levels. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Iran.
Hello, my name is Sylvia and I represent the government of Mexico. And while hearing my colleagues give their comments, I was thinking on the different tables we had this morning and the different topics and questions we were discussing. And I would say the social aspect came in all of those discussions this morning. And what I think is capacity building and knowledge sharing has this direct link with the social component we discussed a lot this morning. So capacity building would need to accompany all of those processes and strategies we're thinking and we're building and we're trying to scale up to have a real scenario for just transition and minimizing the risk of maladaptation and having these local inputs and context from the regions, from the social aspects, from the necessities, local necessities. I would say it is key to have a strong capacity building and knowledge sharing component in all of these processes if we really care about the social component of the discussions as we mentioned this morning. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Oh, now we can see you much better. Thank you for the lights. Oh, yes.
Hello, this is Carol Simon from Panama, from the Ministry of Environment. I would like to share three of our initiatives that we are developing in the Climate Directorate, but also in the Ministry of Agriculture. Taking into account that capacity building is essential for shaping effective and inclusive adaptation processes, especially when efforts are sustained and locally grounded. In Panama, initiatives such as the Climate Change Academy for Young Leaders, the alumni program, Azuero Verde, and the agroclimatic technical roundtables have demonstrated how capacity building can help identify real challenges and unlock context-specific opportunities. For example, the Academy and its alumni program show the value of investing in long-term youth engagement. Participants are not only trained in climate science and policy, but continue contributing through project development, peer learning, and localized leadership. This ongoing engagement helps track evolving needs and ensures that adaptation planning remains responsive and inclusive. I want to add, like in this idea, for example, this weekend we had a boot camp for the alumni program that we focused it in green entrepreneurship. So now that the alumni that have been prepared knowing how to build up climate change projects, now we are targeting so they can also have the knowledge on how to create their entrepreneurship around climate change. So this is like our next step to building up capacity. Also, we have Azuero Verde. It demonstrates how capacity building paired with territorial implementation can generate tangible impacts. So explain a little bit about this, Azuero Verde or Green Azuero. Azuero is one of the most dry areas in Panama. It calls corredor seco. I don't know how to say this in English. Sorry for that. But the idea of this is to work with the local people, the cattle owners, the agricultures, the community, to build resilience in that area. It connects communities, producers, and institutions around ecosystem restoration and sustainable land use, grounded in climate science and local priorities. Similarly, the MTAs provide the platforms where climate forecasts are translated into actionable decisions, what to plant, when, and how to reduce agricultural losses. When designed with local ownership and continuity, these initiatives help prevent maladaptation, the second question. They foster trust, encourage adaptive feedback loops, and promote solutions that are not only technically sound, but also socially accepted and environmentally effective. Thank you.
Thank you, Panama.
Thank you very much, Chair, for allowing me to come a second time. Burkina Faso is taking the floor on behalf of the LDC to share our views on how capacity building initiative facilitate minimizing the risk of adaptation. Vulnerability to climate impacts is high across much of the global south, and adaptation is urgently, but mitigation can create myriad of impact on the livelihood of the LDCs. It is essential to implement measures that are carefully designed to ensure that the objective of just transition are achieved. Otherwise, they risk being maladaptive. Adaptation to climate change is context-specific. As such, local communities and ecosystems has a key role to play to ensure appropriate resilience schemes are designed, are implemented, backed up by adequate means of implementation to avoid maladaptation and to drive a just and sustainable adaptation transformation. The special needs and circumstances of LDCs must remain central to our discussion and considered across various issues in which just transition is even more relevant. We face unique challenges due to our geographic vulnerabilities, limited financial, technical and institutional resources, constrained capacities, and fragile economies. Capacity building support for countries to help understanding and map out their priorities and timelines in relation to charting out just transition pathways is essential in the immediate term. Broader capacity building efforts to sensitize formal and informal workers in different sectors, and not only energy sectors, on what just transition would mean for them and equip them with knowledge about climate change would help set things in motion and prevent abrupt and immediate impacts on communities. Equipping them with knowledge to strategize and plan for their futures is crucial, as our colleagues also was mentioning on the social aspect. Although informal workers are on front line of climate impacts and often lead locally driven adaptation efforts, they remain largely excluded from formal planning, financing, and protection systems. A generally just transition must ensure their inclusion in decision-making, provide targeted adaptation support, and guarantee equitable access to capacity building and benefit sharing opportunities. We must identify synergies between available type of work and determine which workers can adapt or transition into different sectors. This requires a deep understanding of each country specific just transition need, as previously mentioned. We must also empower local communities to better understand resources such as critical minerals, which will be key in enabling the green transition, encouraging research that is locally led with thoughtful and equally collaborations to prevent extractive economies. For example, this can be achieved by leveraging existing capacity building activities within national plans. Best practices include integrating just transition principle into NAPs and the latest NDCs, establishing inclusive multi-stakeholder governance platforms, providing targeted capacity building and LDCs to help stakeholders align just transition priorities with those unique to their context, and focusing on transformational adaptation and its intersection with just transition pathways. Those are the points that the LDC would like to discuss with our partners, and we're more than happy to share in written with the Secretariat. Once again, thank you, Chair, for giving me the floor a second time. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Burkina Faso, and we will appreciate receiving the written statement.
Hello, thank you. I'm Amma from Ghana. So I think this is a very interesting discussion that has been ongoing, and for us, we think that capacity building is very critical to ensuring a just transition. But to be able to achieve that, we need to look at it in a comprehensive manner. So capacity building initiatives need to look at right from the basics, ensuring that countries and there's an underlying understanding of the concepts that countries need to know regarding adaptation in the whole nexus of just transition. So what are we adapting to? I mean, apart from the normal adaptations to the climate change impact itself, there are also reasons why we have to adapt to, I mean, fortunately, unfortunately, also to some of the mitigation measures that we ourselves as countries put in place. And so it should be a very comprehensive understanding of this for countries to understand the both sides of the actual climate impacts and the things that we are all doing to bring the need for adaptation. And for them to understand that to be able to adapt to some of these things brings in discussions about economic diversification, impacts of trade. That discussion needs to be had, the financial flows, migration, shared ecosystems, and more. So it should be comprehensive and it should be multi-sectorial, not just one sector just having the discussion. It's very critical also to ensure that these transitions are shaped in a fair and equitable manner, ensuring sustainable development for all, especially, I mean, of course, developing countries as well. For this to happen, we need comprehensive partnerships of course, let's start from our own backyard, even if it's nationally. But then important to us, we sit in this global kind of cooperative, or what should I say? We are in an international meeting, right? We need the international partnerships as well that will help us to put in place proper capacity building initiatives that bring in dimensions of how do we access what we need to actually get the just adaptation transition done. How do we access funds? How do we access the needed technology to address emerging challenges as they come? And how do we teach people to be able to do that? And we need to teach people to be able to model, I mean, what are all these impacts going to look like in my country, my region, what kind of economic models we need to put in place so that we do not end up having maladaptation. How do we quantify even within those models the needs, the funds, the technology, which in this regard may be country specific. We need to apply that in the capacity building interventions that we do. Within this whole nexus, we need to talk about the ability of countries to develop in a competitive global value chain system. So we need to, I mean, I believe we need to look at how countries use this whole adaptation, transition to develop, leaving no one behind. I think we also need to ensure that these international corporations and partnerships do not kind of allow transitions to go in an unjust manner. Maybe that's the best word to use. I was trying to pick my words carefully, but I'll just leave it at that. And then there's the need, whilst we're doing this capacity building, to look at what are the international dimensions to opportunities, what are the barriers, what are the challenges, and not just know these challenges, but how do we together address them? I think these are some of the few words I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have 7 minutes and 2 speakers on the list. So, 3.
Thank you.
Philippines, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, co-facilitators, for this opportunity and for convening us. So for this thematic area on capacity building and knowledge sharing, the Philippines recognize that continued capacity building related to just transition are essential for addressing areas for divergence and leading to the operationalization of the JTWP decision text, which we are going to work this coming June. And just to share with everyone, last year, the Philippines was able to update our National Green Jobs Human Resource Development Plan, where we emphasize a need for capacity building among stakeholders on the various emerging industries to promote green and decent jobs and avoid job displacement through upskilling and reskilling at the local level. These areas for capacity building may include the adaptation of existing practices to fit the needs of green jobs and just transition, as well as the development of new practices that respond to the unique demands of our people. Developing capacity building on just transition must be rooted on meaningful social dialogue, especially in climate action planning that integrates the participation of workers in the formal and informal sectors, employers, indigenous peoples, fisher folks, farmers, youth and women groups, vulnerable groups in shaping local just transition capacity building, while ensuring that it is a needs-based capacity building which avoids maladaptation, practices, and waste of resources. Furthermore, capacity building support initiatives strengthen linkages between just transition objectives, the national adaptation plans or NAPs, the nationally determined contribution to ensure coherence and integrated planning. Lastly, the Philippines see that an inclusive just transition capacity building leads to the development of metrics and indicators to track progress on just transition, disaggregated by gender, sector, and income, ensuring that benefits are equally distributed to all. Thank you, facilitators.
Thank you so much, Philippines. Panama, over there. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Jocabet. I'm from Panama, from Cunadule people. This is an indigenous people in Panama. In our experience as indigenous people, we think we can make a capacity building and knowledge sharing with government established interdisciplinary teams from device, social, cultural, and epistemological contexts. The capacity building process is considerable enhanced. The integration of both technical and cultural knowledge fosters an intercultural approach that enriches the processes of planning, implementing, and evaluating inclusive and context-specific adaptation measures. This multidimensional approach also promotes sustainable and social justice by ensuring the solutions are equitable and culturally appropriate and resilient over time. And in this point, it's so important to understand for us how we can interchange knowledge, but not only interchange to apply in epistemological approach. It means how we can create capacity building. The development of participatory platforms designed to facilitate listening, experience sharing, learning, and co-creation of solutions is fundamental to strengthening capacity from various epistemological and methodological frameworks. And that part of methodological is important because how we can understand the capacity is important in different contexts, language, and realities. This approach promotes the enrichment, adaptation, and contextualization of capacity to the specific realities of community and territories, supporting sustainable development goals and fostering social equity. The last point for us is furthermore challenges and opportunity identified are articulate in authentic and occur manner when they emerge really from the communities who live with their own content and community. And this participation is very important to guarantee that adaptation actions are relevant. In indigenous content, it's so important to understand not only the capacity building only in the logical way, how we understand this, and not only in the sensitive way. And that is so important because it means the approach is going to be more holistic.
Thank you so much. Vanuatu, I'm sorry, do you still want to? I think we have a few minutes. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm Anthony from Vanuatu, Republic of Vanuatu. I think I'd like to share a few thoughts here around capacity building. I think first and foremost is to emphasize the fact that